Hello and Happy New Year! My name is Stacy. This is Flionfree Fibers. I'm coming to you from my farm, Easy Acres Homestead, here in Northeast Connecticut, where we raise critically endangered Gulf Coast native sheep, Angora rabbits, and all of our other farm homestead animals. This is my Fibercast where we talk about all things fiber related. So whether you enjoy knitting, spinning, weaving, crochet, felting, I get into a little bit of all of it. And I even process the fiber here on my farm. So if that's your jam, this is your place. Give us a like, and if you enjoy this Fibercast, subscribe and help other people find us. You can follow the farm at Easy Acres Homestead on both Facebook and Instagram. I do have an Instagram page for Flionfree Fibers, so if you've already liked Easy Acres Homestead, you can also like Flionfree Fibers. I wasn't sure if I was going to keep them separate or put them together, but that was part of my 2024 gotta make a decision thing. So what I've decided is I'm going to put them together on Facebook and adjust the name there, but for Instagram, I am actually going to keep them separate pages so I can get into more of the nitty-gritty on the fiber arts on the Flionfree Fibers page, and more of the farm on Easy Acres Homestead. I do share some of my projects over on Easy Acres Homestead because we do attend our local markets, and I do have products that I bring there. So there's both, but for more details and really focused on fiber, it's going to be Flionfree Fibers. So if you just want to see one or you want to see both, you're happy to follow whichever you like, if that's what you'd like to do. I also am on Ravelry, and I do have an Etsy page under Flionfree Fibers as well. Let's see, that will be where all of because we raise critically endangered sheep, where our fiber is sold for now as far as the Gulf Coast native for the Save Them to Shave Them. I do have some other stuff on there that once it expires, it'll be down because a lot of it is already gone because of the holidays. So got a lot going on for 2024, so that we might get a website. I'm still working on who I want to use. There's so much to that. But give us a like, a subscribe, help it out. Like I mentioned last week, I have my stickers for Shave 'em to Save 'em. I think they were on vacation because I haven't received a callback yet, but I do have them. So as soon as we have that go ahead, those options will be up to you if you want to try out spinning Gulf Coast native, or you want to, our yarn probably won't be in until April, but that will be available for that program if you are a passport person. Farm update. So I always do a quick farm update because we do raise sheep, and I said this channel, while I'm going to talk about fiber arts, I'm going to also give you a farm update because we do raise critically endangered sheep, and that is where wool comes from. It comes from sheep and obviously other animals. We have alpaca. I don't have alpaca, but there's alpaca and rabbits and everything else. But you need to know, because I'm a farmer, I'm going to tell you where your stuff comes from. So, quick farm update. We had a young ram lamb that was born this fall, and he was moved this week and put in with the donkeys and our Kuni pig. So he is being weaned. He is pretty comfortable. It only takes about a day where they start settling in. He actually shares fence space with the rest of the flock, so it wasn't too rough for him. But he just, they slept against the fence line together. So he is doing well. And what other things do we have? They say, this is New England though, that we're supposed to get a big snowstorm Saturday night into Sunday. Now, everything says something different. And this is New England, so if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. We won't know until it happens. If they tell us we're going to get 3 inches, we're getting 2 feet. If they say we're going to get 2 feet, we might get a dusting. I mean, that's how things happen around here. So we kind of prepare for what might happen, but we don't take anything really too serious as far as like it's a definite. There is no definite. This is New England. Nothing is a definite when the weather concerns. So we are preparing for that. I'm going to go stock up on hay today. I got to get out and get that done. I have a small hay barn, so it holds about 60 bales, I think. Yeah, about 60 bales. So I do have to get hay periodically throughout the winter. Thankfully, I have some great hay providers. I never really worry about anyone being out of hay. I always have it, and we are adjusting each year to make everything more sustainable. So we're doing pretty well this year, and everyone's happy. So still getting second cut, still not having any issues, knock on wood. But that's our farm update. I am working with the Angora's fiber. I'm going to go out into that in finished objects. I realized it's piling up pretty quickly, and I'm just kept storing it and haven't spun it and gotten it going into yarn or finished products. So I did start kind of pushing on that this week as well, looking at 2024, what's going on, what are my goals, and what works with the farm for this year. So if you have 2024 plans or goals, or you've got knits that you want to do, share with us, because I'm always looking for ideas. I would love to know what your plan is in 2024. Do you have a big goal? Do you want to learn how to do a new form of fiber arts? Maybe you've never felted before, you've never weaved before, and you kind of want to give it a go. Let me know. I love to hear about what people are doing, expanding, or they have a project, something that's going to challenge them. Maybe you've never done color work before and you want to give something a try in that realm. Give us a comment below. I'd love to see what everyone is planning for 2024 and their fiber arts. I have a sweater. I haven't really picked anything big. I have a sweater that I bought for, but I haven't figured out my project for next year, for this coming fall yet. So for the fiber festivals, does anyone have, and I know these come out later and everyone has them. I don't tend to follow like knit along, let's all wear the same sweater thing. I find something that is my goal and it's my piece. So if you have a piece where you already know, because last year I already knew, by this time I already knew what I was doing for this fall. So I don't know this year. So if you already know what you're doing for the fiber festivals come fall for Rhinebeck, or, and I know this is like East Coast, Northeast US, but if you have your project for Rhinebeck or New England Fiber Fest are already lined up, and we're totally skipping over Maryland and everything else that's coming up this spring. So, hey, let's start there. If you have a project for Maryland or Connecticut sheep and wool or anything that's coming up this spring, let's share that and give other people ideas, and let's get 2024 rolling. let's see, this past week in fiber. Oh, and what am I wearing? I didn't even say. I am wearing, I think it's kind of hard to see. So this is a cabled sweater. This is actually from Ireland. I don't think you can even see it. It's so dark. It has got a lot. This is a size small. It has got so much positive ease. It is ridiculous. Like, look at this. But it's so comfy and cozy. So it feels like that big oversized sweatshirt. It's got cabling all down the front. It's the hand knits that, you can buy in Ireland and get it. Let's see. It is I don't know much about it because I actually inherited this when my mother-in-law passed. It still had the tags on it, had never been worn, and I just love it. So it's kind of like being wrapped in a hug. It's a green and navy blue barber pole yarn. So some lights it looks really green and like emeraldy, and other lights the blue kind of like just takes it down. But that is it. I did not knit it. It was purchased and I inherited it. My other, what am I wearing? My beanie is my finished object for the test knit by Rogue Ambitions, the Hearthside beanie, which I will go into more and show off a little more when we get to finished objects. So the past week in fiber, I took a trip. I cleaned my desk. If any of you are like me, that is like a monumental task. I get so busy with different projects and different things, plus like farm business stuff, and all the stuff just ends up on my desk. I cleaned my desk this week. I deserve a cookie. So the thing that sparked it was my husband said, I found these milk crates and I'm sure you want them. He knows I love milk crates. I make shelving out of them a lot of times. So I have all my fiber on the other side of the room, and it is in milk crates. So if you have those, everyone has the cube things, which I have downstairs in my weaving room. I can't get that up the stairs. The thing is huge. It's like 6 foot by 6 foot. We have an old house. We couldn't get it up the stairs up here. But milk crates work great because you can make your own. You can stack them any way you want. I was looking for shelving for my desk to kind of bring that up because this desk does not have drawers. So he brought me the milk crates, and there I immediately helped with my workspace. The desk portion behind me that is my working desk. That is where I needle felt. That is where I adjust things. That is where I did my mini loom demonstration. I work on a lot of things back here. You can see some of my spinning is there. So it gave me shelving and storage to kind of put things away and clean up my desk. Speaking of, if anyone has ideas, drop my mouse, on what to do with these things, please let me know. Comment, give me an idea. So if you are aware or you've ever been to an agricultural fair, and my gosh, we live in New England. If you haven't been to an agricultural fair, you should go. I mean, they happen all over the country. Check one out, especially if you're into fiber arts. So they have a section, everyone that I know of has a section, and I've known about this my entire life, but didn't really know the details. And I really wish I did. And my mom was into crafting and everything. But there's a whole section where it's like home and garden, and farmers bring their vegetables and fruits and whatever, their eggs and everything, and they're judged. And you see there's ribbons and prizes. And then there's wood crafting, and there's all these different categories that are judged there. And most people just walk through and go, oh, that's nice, that's nice. And that's what I had done. I mean, I have been going to these things my entire life. Never knew the actual process of anyone can submit stuff, how it's rated, how it's done, the whole, didn't know any of this. I think this is such a lost portion of, and I think this is a pattern of what has happened with agricultural fairs in general. They've turned into several of them have turned into more carnivals. It's all about the rides and not as much about the agricultural. We have the Brooklyn Fair, which is, I believe, the oldest fair in the country. So that one is still heavy agricultural, but it does have a huge carnival area. But they are very heavy with their agricultural. And we have Woodstock as well, which is bigger, usually has bigger shows. I just feel like the agricultural, like the local, when I was young, it was so many local vendors, so many handmade, like wood bowls and pottery, and there was so much of that. And there is so much of that missing now. A lot of it is tchotchke stuff and whatever. I'm getting off on a tangent, but this is something like I'm really passionate about. And I've actually talked to some of the fair things. It's just, it's a huge commitment for local vendors. And I would really like to find a way to kind of bring that back and make it more accessible as far as time wise and people. Like it's staffing, it's stock, it's everything. They are big events. So anyway, off on that tangent. You can bring your textiles, anyone can submit your textile arts, so your fiber arts, into the fair. Like anyone. So my local fairs, it's got to be something you've made within the last year. So 2024, it would be something you made after this to 2023 fair, but before the 24 fair, obviously. It's your finished piece. It's not like I made this sweater and I wore it all year and here you go. So it's an unworn item. They have all sorts of different categories. So they have felting and weaving and crochet and knitting and quilting. There's so many things. You can find something that is yours. And then some of them are broken down into like types of pieces. So it could be like gloves and mittens and hats. And so they'll break stuff down too. They put out a catalog, but it's also online every year, of all the different categories, and you can submit your stuff. And so what I found, and this is how I kind of got into it, a few years ago, someone said, hey, anyone wants to submit their pieces? I was like, wait, what? I submitted some pieces, but then when I went to one of the fairs, I noticed there was absolutely no weaving. There was nothing. It was not even, and we're in a huge textile area. This entire area was developed on textiles. So that kind of got me like, why? So I took a bit of everything that I do and submitted it to both fairs this year, because I just want to keep that going and keep people seeing that this stuff is still made, is still being handmade. There's still fiber artists out there that we're not like, you've seen that little meme thing where it's like crochet. It sounds like such an old thing. I mean, it's not. So I personally throw a bit of everything. So I put some spinning in there, some felting, some crochet, some knitting, some weaving. I try to put a bit of everything in there so that it's all represented. So if nobody else brings anything, it's there. It's represented. So we did have actually a pretty good display this year at both fairs. And at the Brooklyn Fair, I even coordinated with them to where our weaving crew, our weaving night, we sat in that building and sat there weaving one night while people were coming through. So we got to chat with a lot of people and talk to them about weaving and show them on our smaller looms. We had rigid heddles with us, that it's still a thing. And, it's not just a demonstration where, you're in 19th century clothing and acting like it's an art that doesn't exist anymore. So it's not just Sturbridge Village. So that's my thing. But what happens is I have just so many piles and piles of ribbons I don't know what to do with. So that there was just everywhere on my desk buried. And I have this huge pile. So if you have an idea of what to do with all of these, and I even have like the big best in show things, and they're big and bulky, and give me an idea. I don't want to throw them out, but like, what am I going to do with them? Just so you know, if you're apprehensive, like you don't want to be judged, this is not a first, second, third type thing where you're competing against other people. It does have a first, second, third, but your work is judged on its own merit. So it's not judged against someone. The best in show is chosen best in show for each category, but it's judged on its own merit. It's the quality of craftsmanship, color choice, whatever that judges. And judges are volunteers, so they're not perfect. Some of them actually write little notes on the back, like love the tension, great, color detail, whatever it is. I love when they write things, even when they write something like, oh, you forgot to do this. I'm like, wait a minute, I have a question. But, it's nice to get some feedback versus it just having a ribbon on it. So, but it is judged on its own merit. So you're not judged against other people. Bring your stuff, show what you do, be proud of your work. But that's my whole tangent on that. I know we went on a totally different thing. I'm passionate about fiber arts and keeping going. Let's see. Gosh, I don't even know where I've been. So that's my thing. I did clean I took a trip to U&U Fiber Arts in Windsor to get some yarn for my test knit. So I will share more about that. Cute little shop. I was sitting there on the floor while everyone's, Saturday knitting together, and I'm like in a corner on the floor with all these colors laid out, trying to figure out what I want. Just make myself at home. Let's see. Then I had New Year's. I had my test knit. I worked on my test knit New Year's Eve. That was my fun and exciting New Year's. I haven't probably done a New Year's. I don't know if I've ever done like a New Year's party. I did start my 100 days of spindle spinning. Andrea Mowry is running a 100, and a friend of hers is running 100 days of spindle spinning challenge per se. They started that a while ago. I think they started it after Thanksgiving. I was too busy with holiday markets, so I started it as of the new year because I found all of my Angora was piling up. I figured, you know what, no better time to get started and start getting that spun and take part in that challenge. You can actually follow that on Instagram with the hashtag 100 days of spindle spinning. I think that's the actual one, but it's something like that. The best thing I love seeing people's work, but the spindles, my God, people. Like, please just tell me where you got your spindles. There are some spindles on there that I'm like, oh, what, where did this come from? It's like we have these little pockets of spindle makers around the world that you're like, where do these magical things come from? Because some of them are so beautiful. The carvings, the glass, like I have one, a Stephen Willett, which I absolutely love this. It is a glass tip, a little glass bulb tip. He is at pretty much all of our local fiber shows. And there is another maker of these, which I just found out because I saw some and I'm like, oh, is that a Stephen Willett? She's like, no. But I couldn't even find their website. So if you just want to see some beautiful spindles, my goodness, they're beautiful. Check out that hashtag. And then I did do a how-to video last week on how to weave on a mini loom. So I have these mini looms. I sell them at the markets and stuff to guys. It's kind of like a gateway drug to get people into a fiber art. There's quite a few people. So if you're like laid up in bed and you need something little to do and you haven't learned, I mean, anyone can learn how to do this. So it's pretty simple, but I have a lot of people ask me if I had a how-to video on how to get started, how to, do the whole thing. So I did a how-to video last weekend on how to get it started, how to warp it, two different ways to warp it, how to get started, how to change yarns, and then how to get it off. So it was long enough just kind of getting the basics down, that you can check that out. It's in the how-to. I'm going to do some more because that was long enough, but I showed like little different options of how to do things. So this doesn't have a fringe and this does. So I actually came up with some others on advanced techniques and different fringe techniques. So I'm going to do those. I don't have a schedule for that, but I will do those as time allows, to put those into the how-tos to help people kind of advance their weaving. And when you get this, you can make mug rugs. You can make this, like, these are little granny squares, and you can sew them together. There's all sorts of things you can do with just a little mini loom. And they're portable. You can stuff them in your bag. I actually use them for scraps, so you can check out that video. I don't want to get too much into it. But that's where I use a lot of my scraps and leftovers, like the small stuff. The other thing, this is coming up, is Distaff Day. So there's a tradition when women would spin pretty much every day. In the morning, in the afternoon, they had to spin, because before clothing stores, you had to make all your own clothes. So women had to spin to be able to keep up with the clothing and the tapestries and the curtains and stuff and blankets and everything that the household needed. It takes a lot of yarn. So constantly spinning. So for the 12 days of Christmas, this was a European tradition. I can't tell you all the history. I know the basics. You can look it up. They would actually wrap their spinning wheels, and they would decorate them for the holidays, but they would wrap them up so they could not be used. And for 12 days, they would take a break. So Distaff Day is basically back to work day. I think it's also known as Rock Day, and I can't tell you why. But it was the time where they unwrapped their spinning wheels and got back to spinning. So that I saw that's coming up, and I saw Terry Spins. She is on Facebook. She is local here in Connecticut. She is a spinning teacher. I've mentioned her before. She is having a virtual Distaff Day that you can join. So there's details on her Facebook page at Terry Spins. I believe there's a Zoom link in the event, and you can join in. So if you want a sneak peek on spinning and what people are doing, and you just kind of want to meddle in there, go ahead, check it out. Or you want to sit and spin for a while, check it out. Go check it out. I believe she has some more of the history there. You can look at that. I might pop in for a while if time allows. Really depends on what the weather's doing and what we're doing here, but I may pop in for a bit of that. It is virtual, so regardless of the weather, anyone can make it. And then let's see, what did we do? So I'm going to show, I don't really have much for whips this week. The two whips that I had were my tube socks, my rib tube socks, and my second Mosselberg. So I'll show those. I didn't get far, but we'll just recap on those, and then we'll go into finished objects and purchases. So my rib socks, this is Bad Sheep yarn. It is this expired colorway. This was Butterfly, but it's not available anymore. If you haven't checked out her yarn, I love it. The DK does come with nylon in it, so it makes for great socks. These are my 2 at a time, toe up, rib socks. I do whatever your favorite toe is. I have my notes in my Ravelry. I did oh gosh, I don't even know. I tried to do a different cast on. The figure 8 cast on is what I did, but I wanted to do a different one. I did the figure 8 cast on, and I just increased my toes until I got up to my stitch count, which was 48. for me. These are super stretchy and it's a DK. I am using a size 6 needle, my bamboo needles, which I don't even think I have touched in over a year. My original socks were made on the bamboo, and traditionally if you're using wood, you get a little bit of a tighter stitch. So I really like my other rib socks, so I jumped on with my bamboo needles, US size 6, and that's how far I got this week. So I didn't get very far. I'm trying to restock for markets that are starting back up this weekend, but they'll come along. My stuff always kind of takes a back burner. And then my Musselburgh, I am doing it on US 2.5s, which can be difficult to find. They don't come in your typical kit. So that's where I was last week. I've done probably 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, but 1.5 inches. This is the size medium. This is Purple Thunder from Fiber Seed. And it is a fingering weight yarn. So I'm really enjoying it. I love the stitch definition. It's actually pretty well there. It's very uniform. And this colorway, unlike my last one completely changed pooling halfway through, which was so cool to see. This one is staying quite consistent, which I like. I do like, I really like the pooling in this one. So I'm just happy to be surprised either way. So I'm not a hard customer. If I like the colorway, I like the colorway. So those are my 2 whips. I have other stuff that's always in progress, just because I do a lot of projects and lots of items for the markets. That's how we support the farm. I do a lot of projects and bring in to markets and get to keep everyone fed. So, but finished objects. So I did have a couple, not a lot. I mean, a lot more for the market, but I finished. So I said I was working on spinning some of the Angora. I have 2 mini skeins that are finished. They are, so I shoot for 10 ounces, but I do them on my spindle. And no, I'm not so picky where I weigh everything prior. I probably should. I just always get I just jump into it because it's next to my chair and I just start spinning and I forget to weigh beforehand. But so one's 10 ounces, one's 11 ounces. I round down all the time. And one is 44 yards, the other is 30 yards. And they're so soft. Can you see the halo on these? Angora fiber is incredible. So I am ramping up for getting our fiber on my my Etsy page. Once I have the final information for the Save and Shave 'em, so I will have some Angora up there as well as our Gulf Coast native. This looks a little messed up here. But those are 2. I finished 2. I do have, so I have another approximately 10 ounces. This is a single. So that still needs to be plied. It's so super fuzzy. I don't know if you see the fuzz coming off it. It looks almost like it's not in focus. It is the fuzz of the fiber. So I just need to ply that one. That one's done. I have actually more on the spindles that need to be wound off. So I have not plied on my spindles as of yet. I spin on my spindles and then I ply on my wheel. So on one of my wheels. Because it's such a fine fiber, I like to ply on my faster wheel. So that's how I'm doing it as of right now. That's what I can control, and I'm not ready to take on the new task of plying on a spindle yet. One thing at a time. So that's my spinning finished object, and my other finished object, along with purchases, is my test knit from Rogue Ambitions. So this is the Rogue Ambitions Hearthside beanie that I spoke about last week. I wanted to do it in wool. I didn't want to superwash. I had some options downstairs in my weaving room, which is basically where all my yarn is, but none of them were kind of speaking to me. So I'm like, I'm going to go take a trip down to UNU and see what they have for woolly wools. Didn't actually have a ton of woolly wool. She said her area really likes superwash, a lot of sock weight, and I was looking for like a worsted Aran in wool, but she said she did have a brand new line in, this is from, oh gosh, before I say it wrong, West Yorkshire Spinnery, I believe. So this is 100% Shetland wool. So all of the colorways were kind of like a little speckled. There was one with a green and purple, but it was a lot of green. And of course it's green and purple, so that was like one of the first ones I grabbed off. But I decided not to go with that one. Like I said, I was sitting on the floor with like, here's this, and I'm gonna grab this one and this one. I was just made myself completely at home. I had a whole display on the floor of different colorway options that I was checking out to go with. But this is an Aran weight, 100% Shetland wool. It has little speckles of purple and blue, hence the purple and blue wool that I went with. So these are from Universal Yarns. They are the deluxe worsted, and I do have quite a bit left of each. In my Ravelry notes, it shows actually how many grams of each that I used. And the pattern's not attached yet because it's not released yet. So you'll have to wait for that one. But there are notes in there. And this is the color indigo. And this is the color purple. So I used those three. So this was my main color. This was contrast 1 was indigo. Contrast 2 was the purple. And it is a color work pattern. And find my hat hair. You can see the color work. I would say if you are, and there are pictures on my Ravelry at Flionfree Fibers if you want to take some closer looks. I would say if you're a confident beginner or you've been knitting, whatever level you're at, if you haven't done color work yet and you're like, I want to dip my toes, I would say this is a good project because it's not overly advanced for color work. Like, you're not running a ton of different colors, and you also don't have a ton of ends to weave in because you're carrying the color you're not using up as you work. You don't have a ton of ends to weave in. It's not like change. So I think personally, I feel like it is a great color work project to get started with. It's not out yet, but the matching beanie or the matching cowl is out. So if you're looking for a matching set or you're interested in a matching set, that is out. You could get started with the cowl now. That is available on her Ravelry at Rogue Ambition Knits. So you can check that out, and when this is released, you can jump on into the hat. So I don't know how much I can give out, but it is finished. I did submit it in my pictures on Ravelry. There was only one spot where I had a question. It was where a measurement was. Otherwise, the pattern was beautifully written, very easy to follow. It was just towards the end, and where to measure from was my only question. So I really think it's, even if you just are like, oh, I'm just a beginner, if you're a confident beginner, you could do this color work. So, and it gives it a great design. I really like it. So, and I got 100% wool. That's what I have to say about that. And I will let you know when it comes out. But I think it should be out soon. Let's see what else. So I did purchase some other yarn. I did, grab something that wasn't for a test knit. I do have another skein of from this farm. So if you've been following on, I love farm yarn. I am a huge proponent of farm yarn. I personally am trying, I will not buy a yarn if it has acrylic or synthetics in it. I mean nylon, because the US we don't have a lot of sock yarn around here that is the high twist with the stronger fibers in it, like usually silk or something like that. Any long fibers. So if you take like a longer fiber staple and you put a high twist in it, it's going to be like your commercial sock yarn. So we don't need synthetics in our yarn. I mean, they got away with it for years, so why do we need synthetics? Sorry, that's my tangent. If you like knitting or doing your fiber arts with acrylic, I have nothing against it. It is my personal thing because I am raising critically endangered sheep. I have done a ton of research on the wool industry and what goes on with synthetics and what it does to our environment. So with that being said, I do not dye with acid dyes, but I do like them. So Feederbrook Farms, I believe they're in New Hampshire. I have another colorway from them. This one is so fun. And it's so out of my realm. So it's orange and yellow and green and blue and purple and all sorts of things. This is their DK. This colorway is actually called Wavelength. It is blue-based Leicester. And I love these things. The other one I have, I think, is a purple, blue, green. Shocker. Those are my colors. It is hand dyed. They have a whole setup of these. I love these. It's almost like Junction Fiber Mills. What do they call it? I forget what they call it. Wow, how do I forget what they call it? They have a line like this as well. I can't believe I forgot what they call it. I have some of theirs as well. So they actually have a knit along coming up. So if you haven't checked out Junction Fiber Mill, that is where I get my wool processed for the farm. They have a bunch of my wool right now. They have a knit along coming up. So they had one for the hat I made for my Gulf Coast native. That was their Read This hat. And they have another one coming up for a cowl that one of their customers needs. So it's a cowl, and then it extends down a bit. So you can go over and check them out. They have a mill cast that they do. They spoke all about it. They have some kits on their website ready right now. And it starts on the 8th, I believe. So you want to check that out again if you're into the cowls. They have that coming up. I just want to see real quick if they had any of it. It's called Making Tracks. That's their line that is like this with the multicolors. They have some kits made up. So from their Making Tracks and a solid from I think their farm yarn. All of their fiber is locally sourced in the US. So I support that. So I support them and I bring my fiber there. So that is Junction Fiber Mill. They have a mill cast on YouTube. You can check them out and their knit along if you're looking for one, and a smaller one, not a huge project. It is a cowl. I think it actually goes, they're going through February on that. So, and that starts on the 8th. Let's see, what else? And I think I feel like Feederbrook might get some stuff processed there. Don't quote me on that. I swear that's where I first heard about them, but I could be wrong. I listen to a lot of things. So let's see, purchases. I did not get any further on my book. It has been a busy week, and I keep meaning to listen to it. I'm like, oh, I'm going to listen to my book. Oh, but it's like 3 a.m. and everyone's sleeping, and I forgot my earbuds in the other room. So I'm just going to sit here and quietly work on what I'm working on. Yes, I get up like super early. Some days it's 4. Probably once a week, it's 2 or 3 a.m. that I just wake up and my brain starts going, and I'm like, I have this stuff I got to do, and I got to go get it written down, and I just get up and start going. So, and I work out in the morning and everything, but it's like once a week. I swear it's like clockwork. Once a week, I am up at like way before dawn, which I always have. I've always been a morning person, but it's a little extreme, but I'm not tired. So I just get up. Listen, if you're a lady, it's a thing. I think it comes with the whole perimenopause thing. I'm sorry, gentlemen. This is like, I mean, if you live with a lady, maybe you don't, but this is things we have to go through, hot and cold and whatever. Like, my goodness. Thankfully, I've only got smidges of it. But getting up super early, I've always gotten up early, but wow, 2 a.m. is a little extreme. So, but I haven't gotten further on my book. Total, we're off there. But I haven't gotten further on my book, which is Women's Work, 10,000 Years of Textiles. I believe that's the whole thing. Let's see. I listen to books. I do not read them. I will fall asleep reading. Oh, maybe that's how I can get back to sleep. No. It is, okay. Women's Work, the first stop, 20,000 Years. The book is by Elizabeth Wayland Barber. So if you've paid attention, I listen to a lot of factual and historical books, a lot of it about fiber, a lot of it about textiles. That's what I enjoy listening to. So I haven't gotten further on that because those books, I like to really kind of hear the details and what things are being said. 2 a.m. is the perfect time if I would remember to bring my earbuds out of the bedroom with me. So haven't gotten anywhere further on that one. But if you're looking for a book and you want to know Women's Work, it's not a sexist book at all. It is about why it was considered women's work in most cultures, how it fit into the culture, how it fit into the women's role, what they did, and how they were able to do that to make money for the household. Households, if you go back in time, you had to make your own clothes, you had to make your own tapestries, your curtains, and you had to make your own bedding. So you needed a lot of yarn to weave and do all that stuff. So that was their job. That's what they did. It fit in with raising children and all the other responsibilities they had in keeping the house, which is why they kept the house. So it kind of sheds light on, why it was always considered women's work, which it's really not. If you look at other parts of history and other cultures, there was a lot of shepherds would spin and men would knit on the way to the mines. And it's out there. I read snippets of stuff everywhere. So it's definitely not just women's work. That is what this book is focused on and the culture it researched, but it has a lot of enlightening information in it. So I enjoy it. That's the book. So other items, like I said, Distaff Day is coming up. I will be at Coventry Winters Farmers Market on Sunday if we are not snowed in. So we'll just see what Mother Nature has in store for us and how that goes. But till next week, that we come back. Give this a like, subscribe. You can follow us. You can follow me at my farm, Easy Acres Homestead, and you can follow me on Instagram at Flionfree Fibers and or Easy Acres Homestead, whichever you are into. I will be back with some stuff. I do have some more how-tos coming up, like I said, but those will be at the time I do those. The Farmcast, I'm hoping to get that started tomorrow, so Farmcast Fridays will be when I will release those. They probably won't be weekly. A lot of the farm is redundant. It's feeding every day. So I've kind of put together several days worth of me going out and feeding the different weather each day because, hey, it's New England. That's how things go. And what's going on. So that is in editing right now because I just got to put together each day into a strip and send it out. And it should be able to release tomorrow as long as technology is nice to me and moves a little faster. So I'll have that out. You can take a kind of a sneak peek at our farm and our animals and what we do here. I will go get hay and get moving. It is Thursday, so it is weaving day. So I actually so last week I did my little loom, and this week I have a warp I want to put on my larger rigid heddle. I have a scarf. I've already got the yarn set up over there and I know exactly what I want to do. I just have to get to warping it. So if I can string it up, warp it real quick before I head out this evening for weaving night. If you are in this area, we have weaving nights on Thursdays at Woolworks in Putnam. Knitting night is on Tuesdays. We have spinning on the 2nd and 4th, I believe, Wednesdays of the month. We are doing a Shave 'em to Save 'em like spin this year. You don't have to, but if you want to come down and spin, you're more than welcome to join us. What else? There's weaving classes. There's lots of weaving classes. You can check all that out. You can give them a call or stop in if you're in that area. So that's a bit from me, but I head down that way. So there is a lot in the area if you are unaware, and I find a lot of people are unaware at markets. They don't know that we even have a yarn store in the area, and it has lots. I mean, if you're into fiber arts, I honestly don't know that I've been into a yarn store that is as diverse in fiber arts stuff. So there is needle felting supplies, there is spinning supplies, there is weaving supplies, there is rug punching and rug hooking. So both of those, they have some, what is that? Whatever that little thing is. I forget what it is. They have stuff for almost every type of fiber art in there, plus the yarn. So if you're looking for diverse, like amounts of, I don't know what I want to get into, or I want to get into everything, it's a good place to stop in and check it out. But that's where weaving is. So if you're in the area and you want to check out some of the different types of textile and fiber arts, that is a good place to pop into, and you're usually pretty welcoming. So, and they do have lessons. So if you want to get started, you can get a lesson as well. So until next week, I will see you then. And remember to comment with your New Year's projects, what your goals are, or what you have in store. And if you have ideas for what to do with all those ribbons, let me know.